I did have a kind of a definitive moment when I decided I wanted to be a songwriter. I saw John Prine at the Kalamazoo State Theater when I was in college. And I was writing songs when I was in college, but I wasn't really sure if I was a songwriter yet. He wasn't a big rock star with a big band and electric guitars. He was just a guy up there with his acoustic and a couple supporting fellows to play these songs that he'd written and the stories that he would tell in between. And my dream synthesized in that moment. I have a long list of heroes, songwriting heroes. One of them that always comes to mind is Bob Seger, because I grew up in Michigan and he is from Ann Arbor and kind of started in Detroit. Just have always loved the storytelling that Bob Seger put into his songs, and a lot of times it felt like he was just kind of reporting on the way he saw the world. It wasn't even necessarily about him, and his voice, of course, helped to sell all those great songs. But he's one of the guys that's way up at the top of my list, singer and songwriter.
This is only the second time I've ever played it. The first time I played it was over at Michael's place across the street, the southernmost house, right? And in the Ernest Hemingway room, which has great acoustics.
I have so many musical heroes. As a kid who was born in the 80s and lived through the 90s, all of the classic American music had already been made, My generation got to be influenced by all of it, from all the great American rock and roll to all the great British rock and roll to all the great American blues and country. The first time I heard myself on the radio was kind of an out-of-body experience, I was in highway traffic in Nashville, actually. It was a song called Tell Me You Get Lonely. I turned it up and I thought first how good it sounded on the radio, because sometimes they put stuff through kind of like a boosting thing where it will amp up the signal, and it just made it sound bigger and kind of louder, and I thought, wow. And then I felt like, I wonder how many of these people in traffic are tuned to this radio station. There's a chance that some of them are, and they're hearing this song. And I really felt like I was outside of my body for a second. But that's a feeling that never gets old. The power of radio is really special to a guy like me. BMI has always been there, looking out for songwriters and looking out for how people are using music and how people are consuming it. And I love living in an era where the world's music is just one tap of the finger away. That's amazing. On one hand, the consumption of music is more possible than ever, but at the same time, nobody's getting paid to make the music anymore. So BMI is out there fighting for us and getting us our fair shake, because all we want to do is make great music, Without them, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably be playing in a bar, begging for tips. So thanks to my BMI family.